Good afternoon. We'll call the court to order at this time. My name is Matt Rothy. I'm the multi-jurisdictional municipal judge for the city of Stoughton. Covers the towns of Dunkirk, Pleasant Springs, and Rutland, also the city of Stoughton. I'm going to go through some of the procedures we follow in this courtroom. These procedures should have been available to you in the pamphlet as you enter the courtroom. We take pleas tonight. When your case is called, please come forward. You're asked to be taking a plea today. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you enter no contest or guilty plea, I'll review your citation. If there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty and impose an appropriate forfeiture. A plea of no contest is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising from a no contest plea cannot be used against you in later civil action. Let me explain that. If you're involved in a traffic citation and you're alleged to cause damages, if you enter a no contest plea against you, if the person sues you later, they can't use that no contest plea against you. So if there's any doubt about whether you should enter a guilty or no contest plea, usually the no contest plea is preferable. It preserves your rights in a later case. Forfeiture range from $20 to $1,000. However, almost all are within the $50 to $200 range. The state mandates we add cost to your forfeiture. For example, a $50 forfeiture results in a total cost to you of $124. I'll grant you 30 days to pay the fine. If you need additional time, please let me know and we can arrange a payment plan. If you do not pay, I have limited options to collect. I can suspend your driver's license for a year, intercept your tax refund, or send your case to state collections. I'd rather not do that. If you need additional time to pay, just let me know and I can arrange a payment plan as well. If you enter a not guilty plea, we'll set your case over to a trial the next court session. I order that you attend a pretrial conference, basically a phone call with the prosecutor. That date is September 6, 2023, at which time both you and the city attorney will be able to discuss the case. If you can't resolve it, it comes back to me for a trial. Those of you facing traffic offenses should... Hang on a second. Those of you facing traffic offenses should understand that you lose demerit points upon conviction of most such offenses. If you lose 12 or more points in a year, you lose your driver's license to drive in Wisconsin. You'll also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights before entering a plea. You have a right to ask for a continuance. This means that your case can be set over to another court date to allow you to consult with a lawyer, for some other reason. This is a civil court. You're not entitled to a public defender, but you can hire an attorney at your own cost. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Those of you cited for operating a motor vehicle under the influence are entitled to request a jury trial at the circuit court upon the proper payment of fees. If you don't request a jury trial within 10 days, you lose that right for an OWI. All their cases will be heard in my court with the right to appeal my ruling to the circuit court. That concludes my opening remarks. Tracy, thank you. Tyler Stenelson. Mr. Stenelson, do I have your correct address on Burr Oak Street in Palmyra?
Yes, sir.
All right, you've been cited for speeding 30 to 34 over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of $218.50 and 6 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're actually at $125 plus costs. So you're kind of in the middle of that range. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You understand what speeding is as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's 3 levels of speeding, 1 to 10 over, which is 3, 20 to 20, 11 to 19, which is 4, and then any 20 and above is 6. You're at the highest level. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. In addition, I grant 10-mile-an-hour leeway. 31 would take that down to 21, which would still be 6 points. Your driver's license can be suspended for 25 over. If you're going in a 55 or 65 zone, I'll note it appears that I'm just looking at the quick face sheet of the citation that it was 35 zone, so your license wouldn't be suspended. Given that fact, I would follow I would bend a little bit, but I would reduce this down to 19 over instead of 31 over, which would be 4 points instead of 6, same forfeiture. Do you understand basically I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway? You
Yes,
understand
sir.
that as well? Okay. Any questions for the court?
No, thank you.
Okay, now is the time I take your plea. What is your plea to speeding 11 and 19 over, 4 points, same forfeiture, guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay, you understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your guilty plea and find you guilty of speeding. Let's see, 19 over, which would be 4 points, same forfeiture of $218.50. Do you need time to pay that citation?
No, sir.
I'll grant you 30 days, but if you go out to pay tonight, you can take the notice we give you and take that down to the window downstairs.
All right.
Okay, any questions for me?
No.
Just as a note, 31 over, significant, just be careful. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. When the police officer gives you the form, that will take care of it for this evening then. Rebecca Tracy. Ms. Tracy, do you have your correct address on Rankin Road in McFarland?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for speeding 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of 4 points and $124. Do you understand what speeding is? You understand it's 16 to 19 over as well? That's what you've been cited with, is 16 to 19 over?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so that forfeiture carries a penalty or a range of $30 to $300. You're actually at $50 plus cost. You're on the narrow end of that range. You're on the low end of that range. You understand that? In other words, I can go down to $30 plus cost, which is $98.80, or I could increase this to $300, which is $439. That's the forfeiture range on this, but most of the time I just leave it in place. You understand that as well? You're nodding. This is being recorded, so you have to answer all my questions, yes or no,
Okay,
please.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
I
So
understand.
you understand this?
Yes, I
Okay.
understand.
All right, so there's 3 types of citations. There's speeding 20 or more over, which is 6 points. The next range is 11 and 19, which is 4 points. You're at that range. And then the lowest range is 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points. I typically give defendants a 10-mile-an-hour leeway, so what I would do for your citation is reduce it from 17 over to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. The forfeiture stays the same at $124.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes, I
Okay.
understand.
All right. Any procedural questions for me?
No.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. What would your plea be to speeding 1 to 10 over for 3 points and $124? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty? In other words, you understand that if you enter this plea, I'm going to find you guilty?
So no contest.
Okay. You understand it with a no contest plea, I still find you guilty?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The reason why I say that is a lot
I'm
of times
confused.
people get a little, oh, I didn't mean to do that, or I didn't want the fine, so they say, I want to change my plea after they've already entered the plea.
Sure.
So what I say that is, what I'm saying is that you can't change it at a later date. You
Okay.
understand that, correct? That you can't change it later?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. What I'm going to do now is you've entered a no contest plea. I'm going to review the police report to make sure there's a factual basis for your plea.
Sure.
Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty.
Sure.
Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
Can I pay tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Like I said, I will impose the $124 forfeiture. I'll grant you 30 days to pay. I'll find you guilty of 1 to 10 over, which is 3 points.
Okay.
I'll give you the clerk will give a form to the police officer, who will then give it to you. You can take that downstairs to the dispatch window and
Dispatch
then make
window?
make payment tonight.
Okay.
So with that will take care of it for this evening.
Okay,
then.
thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Where did yours go? Didn't she have a blue one? Did you leave it in the bathroom? Wait.
It's behind you.
It's behind me?
Yeah.
On the floor?
Yep.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jesse Boone. Good evening, Mr. Boone. Do I have your correct address on Dunkirk Avenue in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You've been cited for exceeding the speed zones or speeding 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding is?
Yes, sir.
You understand that you've been cited for 16 to 19 over the limit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This citation carries a penalty of 4 points and $124. Do you understand? Do you understand that you're facing 4 points?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's $124. That's a forfeiture rate. That's a forfeiture of $50 plus costs. The forfeiture range is $30 to $300. So at $50 plus costs, you're on the low end of the scale. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
In addition, do you have a probationary license?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you would have received it within the last 3 years. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just double check something quick. Okay, got it. So what that means is that if you, for a probationary license, if you receive a second moving violation, the point totals double. I don't know if you've received if this is your first ever moving violation or if you received another, but I just want you to be aware of that. Your second one, the point totals double. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. In addition, so you're at the 16 to 19 miles an hour limit. That's 4 points. In Wisconsin, there's 3 levels of speeding. There's simple speeding, 1 to 10 over, which is 3 points. There's speeding intermediate, which is 11 to 19, and that's 4 points. Or there's speeding excessive at 20 plus, and that's 6 points. You understand those 3 ranges?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You are at 16 to 19 over the limit, which is 4 points. Now, my policy is that I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. The idea being that if you were to see the prosecutor, you would get their same offer in the pretrial conference, saving a little bit of being efficient, so to speak. So instead of this, what I would reduce this to would be 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any procedural questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. What would your plea be to speeding 1 to 10 over, guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Guilty.
You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your guilty plea, and find you guilty. This is 1 to 10 over the speed limit, which is 3 points, and a forfeiture of $124. Do you need anything you'd like to say before I decide any additional sentencing?
No, sir.
Okay. I do find that appropriate. How much time do you need to pay?
30 days.
Okay. I'll give you 30 days. Make sure that you pay within 30 days, because if you don't, I have to suspend your driver's license, intercept your taxes, etc. And I'd rather not do that. If you need additional time, just let us know.
Okay, thank you.
And that'll take care of it for this evening again. Thank you. Ilana Tolme? Did I say that correctly?
It was close.
What is it?
It's a hard E. Ilana.
Ilana Tolme?
Yep, good job
Oh.
on the last name.
Thank you, Ms. Tolme. All right, let me pull up your face sheet of your report. Do I have your correct address on North Street in Stoughton?
Yes,
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
yes,
You understand that you were cited for 11 to 15 over the limit?
Yep.
Is that, okay. Now, this is 4 points. And you can't accumulate more than 12 in a year. Understand that?
Yes, and that's where I wanted to ask a question in regards to my points.
Sure.
Pleading guilty, the fine is fine, I just need 30 days to pay. I drive for my job. I was coming from my
Hang
third
on.
job.
Don't.
I
You
know.
don't need to explain anything. So
My
if you-
points are a little bit more important, if that makes sense. if
Sure.
there's anything.
Then what I would suggest that you do is enter a not guilty plea.
Okay.
Talk to the prosecutor, explain that your occupation and maybe the facts and circumstances surrounding that. And that's a pretrial conference on September 6th. What that
Okay.
is that we give you a phone number, make sure they call the prosecutor at that time, and then see explain the situation to the prosecutor and see if you can resolve it. I can only go to 1 to 10, which would be
Okay.
3 points instead of 4. I can't go any lower. The prosecutor's given more discretion than I am in
Gotcha.
that. So
Okay.
is that what you want to do?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll go ahead and enter a not guilty plea. Now, we'll give you the notice form in just a minute, but I'll have to give some admonishments in the meantime. Make sure that you call in on that day, because if you don't call in, the prosecutors tell me they didn't call in, they didn't appear. I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty, and I'll find you guilty of that 4-point
Okay,
citation.
and that
So-
date is on the letter that's about,
Correct. We'll give you that in a minute. So it's a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring over proof or evidence that you might
Guilty
have.
of just
So-
the points.
Well, no, I don't, I can't, I'm entering a not guilty plea on your behalf, so, but yeah, you haven't been found guilty yet until the prosecutor reports the results to me. If we're able to resolve it, the prosecutor will tell me the results. And there's only been a couple times I haven't approved it in 12 years, so I approve most of the plea agreements as well, so. Okay, once you receive that form, that will take care of it for this evening.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Joseph Summers, did he enter not guilty plea?
No, there's two.
Oh, there's two of them?
Yeah, there's Joe, and then there's Joseph. Joe is off, but Joseph is here.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Oh, Joe Summers?
Hello.
I apologize, there's two Joe Summers in here. Okay. Just a minute. I clicked on the wrong one. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. I don't know if you knew that there was another person in Stoughton with the same name.
I did,
He's
yeah.
actually in Texas.
Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Summers, do I have your correct address on Noah's Ark Court in Evansville?
Yep.
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway, 16 to 19 miles an hour limit. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 4 points issued your license. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes, sir.
All right. You understand that you were cited allegedly for 16 to 19 miles an hour limit.
Yes.
All right. So that results in 4 demerit points out of can't accumulate 12 or more within a year. And forfeiture of $124. That's $50 plus costs. The forfeiture range is from $30 to $300. If you're at $50 plus costs, you're on the low end of the scale. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In addition, you probably heard, but I have to repeat it for every defendant then, is that I do give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. So instead of 16 to 19 over the limit, it would be speeding 1 to 10, which would be 3 points instead of 4. There's 3 types of speeding levels. There's 1 to 10, which is 3, 11 to 19, which is 4, and then 20 plus, which is 6. I would reduce you from 4 points to 3 points with the same forfeiture of $124. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any procedural questions for me?
No.
Now is the time I take your plea. What is your plea to speeding 1 to 10 over? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your
Okay.
plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. Accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything else that you'd like to say?
No, sir.
All right, I find the $124 to be appropriate. It's going to be speeding 110 over, 3 demerit points. How much time do you need to pay?
I'll pay tonight.
Okay, I'll give you the form. I'll give you 30 days, but you can take that form down to the dispatch window and make payment tonight.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
All right, that will take care of it this evening, and thank you.
Thank you.
Austin Ackerman. Mr. Ackerman, do I have your correct address on Tuscobia Trail?
That is not updated,
Okay.
no.
What is your correct address?
1809 Chapin Court.
Here in town?
Stoughton, Wisconsin.
53589.
Yep.
Okay. We'll go ahead and update that address for you.
Thank you.
You received 2 citations. The first one is for vehicle operator failed to wear a seatbelt. That citation carries 0 points and a $10 forfeiture. That's the forfeiture range, $10. So you understand what vehicle operator failure to wear a seatbelt is?
Yes, sir.
All right. Understand that's a $10 forfeiture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The second citation is possession of THC. Possession of THC means that you were caught in the possession of, THC is the active ingredient in marijuana. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Forfeiture on this is $439. Now that is a $300 fine plus costs. However, what I do with these possession of THC cases is that if you, and I give you 90 days to do so, and I've got a list of that. So if you attend any drug or alcohol counseling, treatment, counseling, we even have online classes, I can give you a list. And you complete that within 90 days. What I do is I reduce this from $439 down to the minimum of $124. So again, this is the forfeiture range on this is $50 to $1,000. $439 is $300, so which is a significant fine. But the idea is, I just want to make sure that people understand a little bit more about THC. If you take the class, etc. So that's why I like to reduce it to $439 to $124.
Sure.
So those are the policies.
Okay.
However, if you want to, you can always enter a not guilty plea if you want to talk to the prosecutor. But that if you complete it, I hold it open for 90 days, allow you to complete any type of counseling or programs. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any procedural questions for me?
No.
All right. Now, and these are pleas for both citations, both the THC and the seatbelt violation. Okay. To these citations, what is your plea? Your options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
Okay. You understand with a no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Your police report takes, it's a little more complicated than the speeding citation.
Yeah, no
so
problem.
I need to review a few more pages. Okay. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. Accept your, let's see, no contest plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No, sir.
Okay. The speeding citation, there was probable cause and reasonable suspicion, probable cause. I'll find you guilty of that and assess a $10 forfeiture. Okay. What's it?
You said speeding.
Oh, I said seatbelt. I'm sorry. If I said speeding,
Yeah, no
I misspoke.
problem.
Thank you. All right. The second citation is for the possession of THC. I'll find you guilty for that as well as there's a factual basis in the police report. Now, I'll give you 90 days to pay all the forfeitures, and both forfeitures, including the seatbelt. And I will give you a list of the completed of the classes. What I want you to do, if you can, I mean, I'll give you the option. If you don't complete it within 90 days, the fine will be $439. However, within 90 days, if you submit proof that you've completed it, basically you've got the forms, follow the instructions of the form. If you show that you completed an alcohol drug assessment class or treatment, then what I will do is I'll reduce that forfeiture to $124.
Okay.
So, and typically I give 30 days to pay for that, but I'm holding it open for $124, allow you to pay. If for whatever reason you need additional time, or you can't find a right class or something, there's a number on the form that you can call. Just call it, just say, hey, I need more time, and we'll have a hearing over it, but the prosecutor will have to weigh in, but I want to make sure that you're given ample opportunity to complete that.
Appreciate that.
Okay, any questions for me?
No, sir.
All right, that will take care of it for this evening once you receive those forms.
Thank you.
Brian Christensen? Okay, Mr. Christensen, do I have your correct address on Stonecrest Road in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. Received a citation for non-registration of auto. That citation carries a penalty of 0 points, and a forfeiture of $98.80. That's $30 plus costs. Let me see the range on these. I believe it's $0 to $300, but let me double check that. It's been a month since I've seen it, so I want to make sure that I get it right.
All right.
Actually, $0 to $200. So you're at $30. You're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. You understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. Second citation is for operating motor vehicle without insurance. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 points issued your license. On the previous citation, you understand what non-registration of auto or expired registration?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, and you understand what operating motor vehicle without insurance is?
Yes.
All right. So 0 points, $124. Forfeiture range on this, I think it's the same. I think it's $0 to $200, but let me double check. Actually, this is $0 to $500. So you're at $50 plus cost. You're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. You understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you approached the podium, I saw you had some documents in your hand.
Oh, I just had the tickets on me. I did have insurance at the time. I just didn't have my card on me.
Okay. Do you have is your registration up to date?
It is now.
Okay.
Yes.
But you have proof of that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Hang on. You want to give it to the police officer?
Yes. Do you want my insurance card too?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We'll give those back to you. I just want to verify that. Thank you. Mr. Christensen, when you see, you were cited on July 25th. How soon thereafter did you update your insurance? Right. Did you do it right away?
My insurance?
Yeah.
I
You had it. You had it.
I
but
just didn't have my card on.
You didn't have the card, okay.
Yeah.
And then the registration, how soon until you updated that?
I did it when I got home after I got pulled over.
Okay. So my court's policy on these is to make sure that you're registered in a valid vehicle. You've done that, and you make sure that you have valid insurance. You did both of those. So on the court's own motion, because you attained the policy goals before you came to court, the court will move to dismiss both these citations. So that means the cases, they're dropped, you don't owe anything, and then will appear as a dismissal. I'll give you records of that dismissal and just submit it, but once you receive that, that will take care of it this evening then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Armando Lopez? Mr. Lopez, do I have your correct address on Derby Lane in Belvedere?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 1 to 10 over the limit.
Yeah.
That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 3 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understand that the limit you're at is 1 to 10 over?
Yes, sir.
That is actually the minimum speeding citation. The other one would be 11 to 19, and the other, that's speeding intermediate, that's 4 points. You're at 1 to 10 is 3, and 20 plus is 6. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're facing a forfeiture of $98.80, which is $30 plus costs. The forfeiture range is actually $30 to $300. So you're at the minimum forfeiture. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got 3 points. I've already explained that to you as well. So this is the first one I've had tonight. It's unusual for me to get a speeding citation 1 to 10 over. What I typically do for these is that I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. You're already at the minimum 1 to 10. So what I do is I typically reduce these 1 to 10 to what's called a defective speedometer. And a defective speedometer, that means it's 2 points instead of 3. It's basically an equipment violation.
Is there any way, since I have a CDL and I don't want it to, like,
Sure.
kind of get affected by the, you know what I mean, my work
Sure.
or whatever?
What I can do for that is that I can't go any further than defective speedometer, and I can't really bargain the cases, but the prosecutor has discretion to do that. So what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea and schedule the matter for pretrial conference with the prosecutor.
Okay.
So we'll do that. It's a phone call on September 6th, and we'll give you the form for that in just a minute, and then you call the prosecutor, and then you see if you can work things out. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, you don't,
Yeah.
you can always enter a not guilty plea. I'm
Yeah,
not going to.
Yeah, I didn't mind, like, paying the fine, it just,
Right.
like,
Yeah,
work-wise,
no.
you know what I mean?
Why do we do that? So we'll enter a not guilty plea, and I'll give you the form. The form will be given to you in just a minute, but make sure that you call in on September 6th, because if you don't call in, prosecutor tell me that you didn't call in, I'll find you in default, and I'll find you guilty, and impose those 3 points and the speeding. If you got a CDL, you know, you want to avoid a speeding citation with a CDL, I understand. So I'm an attorney, I've represented the number of people with CDL, so I understand that. So, but make sure that you appear, and it's a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever documents
Yeah,
or witnesses.
does it matter what time do I call, or?
Yes, it's usually a specific time. It's usually 4 or 4:30.
Okay.
What time is it? 4:50. 4:15? 4:50. So make sure that you call in at that time then. So.
All right, thank you.
Okay, once you receive that form, that will take care of it for this evening then.
Thank you. Thank you. 6, and now it's 20.
Cale Dyerson? Oh, he's here.
7, 10.
What was the menu on for those? I accidentally.
Go to this PC at the top.
So do I have your correct address on Harding Street in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You received a couple of citations. One is speeding on a city highway 16 and 19 over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of 4 demerit points and $124. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes, sir.
You understand that you're facing a forfeiture range, or you understand that you were cited at 16 and 19 over the limit.
Yes, sir.
That results in 4 demerit points. You understand that as well?
Yep.
Okay. Forfeiture is $124. It's $50 plus cost. Forfeiture range is $30 to $300. So you're at the minimum end of the range. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway, so instead of 16 to 19 over limit, I could reduce this to 1 to 10, which would be 3 points instead of 4, same forfeiture. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any procedural questions regarding the speeding citation?
No, sir.
All right. Second citation is operating motor vehicle while suspended. Do you understand what operating a motor vehicle while suspended is?
Yes, sir.
All right. You don't need me to review the elements with you?
No, sir.
All right. The penalty on this is $124 and 3 demerit points issued to your driver's license. For operating after suspension. Forfeiture range is $50 to $200. So you're at the minimum forfeiture. You're at the minimum forfeiture amount. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any procedural questions regarding operating while suspended?
No, sir.
All right. Now, you've been a frequent flyer in my court. It's the first time I've seen you, but I've been doing this for a while. So, you owe approximately $7,000 in forfeitures. Any plan on how to pay for these forfeitures?
Make a payment plan
Okay.
as soon as possible.
All right. How much would the payment plan be?
$500 a month.
Okay. And what happens if you don't make the $500?
Goes up. I don't know.
Okay. Hang on a second. Okay.
When you look at these, SDC, all the ones marked SDC.
So first of all, Mr. Dyerson, what I'm going to do is let's resolve the citations today, either with the plea, and then we can discuss the rest of your payment plan then. So, in fact, what I'm tempted to do, let's resolve your citation today, then I want to make sure I have plenty of time to do this, but I don't want to cause other people to be delayed, because this could be, I want to ask you many questions regarding these citations. So, okay, so you're faced with a speeding citation. You didn't have any procedural questions and an operating while suspended. Again, I'll repeat it. Do you have any questions for me regarding these two citations?
No, sir.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. I would give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway to the speeding citation, so it'd be 1 to 10 over. To the speeding, 1 to 10 over, and operating while suspended. What is your plea? Your choices are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with the guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yep.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. I'll impose the forfeitures of speeding 1 to 10 over, $124 and 3 demerit points, and then $124 and 3 demerit points for the operating while suspended. Okay. We'll discuss how much time we'll give you later. If you want to have a seat, I want to make sure I get to the rest of the docket first. Okay. Okay. Marshall Ziegler. Mr. Ziegler, do you have your correct address on Woodland Road in McFarland?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're here for an operating while under the influence and a corresponding PAC citation. I'll go through those, but if you want a jury trial, either what happens is you have to apply within 10 days of today's date. And then what happens is it gets removed from my courtroom and then goes right up to Dane County Circuit Court for a jury trial. But you have 10 days from today to enter that jury request and pay the fees. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so operating while under the influence, it's known as driving while intoxicated or OWI, drunk driving, essentially. So the penalties are as follows. So first of all, do you understand the elements for operating while under the influence?
Yes, sir.
You don't need me to review the statutes with you?
No, sir.
Okay. You can move the microphone up if you like. That might be a little easier for you. All right. Okay, so the penalties are as follows. It's an $861 forfeiture. So the forfeiture range on this is $150 to $300. However, they had costs in in an assessment. So the forfeiture range essentially is between $700 and $1,000. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
If you're found guilty, 6 points are assessed against your driver's license. You also have to attend an alcohol and drug assessment class. You understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I should say an alcohol drug assessment and then the follow-up class. Okay, you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. The penalties, there's your driver's license can be revoked between 6 and 9 months, depending on your blood alcohol content. The way I follow, I have if you're below a 1.5, it's 6 months. If you're between a 1.5 and 1.99, it's 7 months. And then if you're above a 0.2, it's 8 months. And if there's any bad driving or you cause an accident, I typically add another 30 days to that as well. Okay. In addition, if you have a blood alcohol content of 1.5 or higher, the state mandates that I order an interlock ignition device be installed in all vehicles registered in your name and impose an interlock ignition device for all vehicles that you drive for a period of 12 months. And there's a surcharge for $50. Now, it's not like you can sit that one out. What happens with this is that if you're found guilty and you have to pay and the IID is imposed, you can't just wait a year and then start driving again. It's what that 12-month period starts when you first get a DOT product, whether it's an occupational license or a regular license. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So in other words, a lot of times people just say, okay, I'm not going to drive for a year, and then they go in and get their driver's license. No, the year starts for an IID once they obtain a driver's license again. Okay, you're nodding your head, so I assume that you understand.
Yes,
Unless you have
sir.
any questions, okay. In addition, that if there's a blood draw, this hospital charges the court, and I have to charge the defendants an initial charge of $62.82. You understand that as
Yes,
well?
sir.
All right. Now, you received this other citation for operating a motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol content. Oh, one more thing on the IID. Have you ever had an OWI before, more than 10 years ago?
No, sir.
Okay, so this is your first offense?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you get a one that's over 10 years old, the IID is mandatory. That's why I asked. Okay, the second citation is operating a motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration. That basically, the elements of that is that you're driving a motor vehicle on the highway of Wisconsin or premises held out to the public use, and you had above a .08 for first offense on for a OWI. Those are the elements for a PAC. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, the PAC penalties are the same as the OWI. Penalty of $861, alcohol and drug assessment, 6 points, 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation, and then a IID if you're above a 1.5. You understand that the penalties are the same?
Yes, sir.
However, I can find you guilty of both, but only impose the penalties on one. So, for instance, the total forfeiture you would be facing would be $861. I don't double that to $1,600 or $1,760. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, I've discussed the penalties with OWI. I've discussed how you enter a jury trial, OWI. Okay, I've thrown a lot of data and information at you. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay. If you're found guilty, you have to sign up for the alcohol and drug assessment class within 72 hours. You have to call in, and I've got the forms for that as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, with no further questions, now is the time I take your plea to the OWI, operating motor vehicle under the influence of an intoxicant and operating with a prohibited alcohol concentration. What is your plea? Your choices are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. And these reports are quite lengthy, so it might be a few minutes. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis to accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I sign a sentence?
Well, I just had a question about like the alcohol assessment stuff. I've been to rehab and stuff before.
Right, and so you've already, normally I will say people that you normally get it, but you've already entered a plea, so you can tell me anything that you want. And I know, I did see that in the police report, so go
Okay.
ahead.
Then, no, I don't have any further questions.
Okay. And so I'll give you a number for the assessment to call. Call the number in, and once you get the number, basically, if you're already in a treatment program, they might be interested in hearing that. I don't know their procedures at that point, but I'll give you the number to call as well. So, okay, for the factual basis, I do find the factual basis you accept your guilty plea, found you guilty. Now, as far as the penalties go, I'll make the finding that your blood alcohol was at a .377, which is quite alarming. So they'll make the findings that your mom called in and found that you basically passed out in the Culver's parking lot. Because of that, but there isn't any evidence of bad driving. But due to the high alcohol content, I am going to impose an 8-month driver's license revocation. Since you're a 377, that's above a .15. So I will order an interlock ignition device be installed on all vehicles registered in your name. I'll order that you attend an alcohol and drug assessment. 6 points will be assessed against your license, and I'll impose the $62.82 blood draw. So the total forfeiture will be $973.82. Do you need time to pay that?
No, sir.
Okay,
How much, revocation?
8 months.
8 months.
So 861 AODA, 8 months assessment. So, okay, so we have an assessment form. Let me sign both of those. There's a number on here for you to call. You're required to call that within 72 hours of today's date.
Yes, sir.
So I'll have the bailiff give you both of these. You sign them both and keep one, and I'll keep one. Okay. Are those ready?
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ziegler, so I've given you all these forms. Make sure that you call that number. I've got all the forms as well. So if you want to pay the amount that I told you, that you can take that downstairs to dispatch window, make payment. So, so what did you learn?
I'm sorry,
What
was
did
that?
you learn from this whole episode?
I learned that alcohol needs to be done in my life, and that I am going to do my best every day to make sure that I don't endanger myself or anyone else.
Okay, because, thank you for that. And this is alarming, the whole fact situation, the high blood alcohol content, the whole situation. But I did notice that you were, you're taking appropriate steps, and I would encourage you to do that, not just for yourself, but others as well. I mean, there was no bad driving this time, but the next time there might be somebody in your way. So just keep that in mind as well, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Who's number 11? Thank you. skipped, we just went
Yeah,
to.
if he changes his mind, I can circle on to it.
Okay. Joe Huff. Keep going off. Mr. Huff, do I have your correct address on Red Tail Ridge in Oregon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just hadn't seen that address before. All right, you were cited for speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes.
You understand that you were allegedly cited at 11 to 15 over?
Yes.
And that, okay, so the forfeiture range is $30 plus costs. Forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. So you're at the minimum forfeiture. You understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay, and this citation carries 4 points, and you can't accumulate 12 or more in a year. Now, for these speeding citations, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. You probably heard this before, but speeding 1 to 10 is 3, 11 to 19 is 4, and then 20 plus is 6. What I do for these is I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway, so instead of 11 to 15 over, you would be going 1 to 10, which would result in 3 demerit points rather than 4, same forfeiture of $98.80. Do you understand my 10-mile-an-hour leeway?
Yes.
Okay. Any procedural questions for me?
No.
Now's the time I take your plea. What is your plea to speeding 1 to 10 over for 3 points and $98.80? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Guilty.
You understand with the guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I haven't read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything else you'd like to say before I decide on the complete sentence?
No.
Okay, the $98.80 I find to be appropriate. It's 3 points, the minimum moving violation and the minimum forfeiture. How much time do you need to pay?
I can pay today.
Okay, I'll give you the form. You can take that downstairs to the dispatch window and make payment right away. If for whatever reason you don't, you have 30 days to pay.
Okay.
So once you receive those forms, that will take care of it for this evening. Thank you.
Oh.
Kevin Ziegler? You've been cited for a site plan, or I'm sorry, let me make sure. Do I have your corrected address on Shirley Street in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right, you've received a citation for a site plan approval violation. That carries a penalty of $187. Do you know what site plan approval violation is?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't reviewed the statute in a while, so if you like, I can read that to you?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know.
All right. As far as the site plan goes, have you been in contact with the city?
I had talked to Michael, yes.
Okay. What I prefer, just to make sure that you bring it in compliance and I don't have to find you, is probably just enter a not guilty plea, have the opportunity to talk to the prosecutor and see if their site plan's been approved. Does that sound like something you want to do?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that then. We'll enter the not guilty plea. We'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference. Now, previously I was telling you everybody September 6th, that pretrial list is filled up, so we're going to give you a pretrial date of September 20th. I'll give you the notice in just a minute. Make sure that you appear, talk to the prosecutor, tell them what the progress you made and what the plan will be. I'm sure they'll be appreciative of hearing that. And then, but if you don't call, they'll tell me you're in default and fine, and I'll have to fine you the $187. So
Sounds good.
minimum forfeiture would be $25. So you're minimum $25 to $1,000. So you're at $100 plus cost. You're not at the minimum forfeiture, but you're on the low end of the scale. So you understand that as well?
I do.
Okay. Once you if you don't have any other questions, then once you receive the pretrial conference notice, that will take care of it this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, there it is.
Call in. What time? Excellent. Thank you.
There it is. Robert Schmidt.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm okay. Pull up the police report. Mr. Schmidt, do I have your correct address on Town Boulevard in Madison?
Yes, East Town Boulevard.
Yep, yep. And there's a number. This is we're being broadcast on cable TV, so I don't ever want to give people's full
No
addresses.
problem.
But just want to make sure that if we need to send a notice, we can, so.
Yes, absolutely.
So you received a citation for littering or illegal dumping. This citation carries a penalty of $124. Do you understand what littering, illegal dumping is?
Absolutely.
Okay. You don't need me to review the ordinance to you?
No.
Okay. Forfeiture is $124, which is 50 plus costs. This is not the forfeiture range will be 25 to 1,000. So you're not quite at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. Okay. You understand that?
I do, yes.
Okay. There are no other points. Any other questions for the court?
No.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. Your three plea options would be guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty. I'd like the opportunity to talk to the prosecutor. There's quite a
Perfect.
bit of.
Well, you don't have to say anything else, just a
Okay.
not guilty plea. The reason why is that if I hear too much of the case, I have to recuse myself. So that's
Okay.
usually why I stop people
Thank
with
you.
that. But I don't, no, I just don't want to make sure it has to go to another court with that. So we'll go ahead and enter a not guilty plea. We'll schedule that for that September 20th, and we'll bring that notice in. We'll give that notice to you in just a minute. On the 20th, make sure that you call in, because if you don't call in, the prosecutor tell me you didn't call in, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty and I'll impose the penalty. So, the pretrial conference is designed as a settlement conference to see if the city and you can resolve their differences. So bring whatever witnesses or documents, or be prepared to discuss it with the prosecutor as well.
So I'm curious, why is it on the 20th and not the 6th?
The 6th, we ran out of spaces.
Okay, great.
We have pretrial conferences every 10 minutes? Every 10 minutes, and they all filled up that day. So not just the ones here, but a lot of times people will call in or they'll send written pleas of not guilty. So that's what occurred with that.
It's been a long time since I've been in court.
Okay.
Thank you for being efficient, fair, and expedient.
Okay, thank you. Well, you had to wait an hour. I apologize for that, but I tried to get through as fast
I
as
still
could.
feel that same way.
Exactly. So, okay, well, thank you.
Have a great evening.
Hey, thank you, you too. See, are you with Mr. Drierson?
Nope, Sheridan.
Oh, Sheridan, Mr. Sheridan? Oh, okay. Sorry, Mr. Sheridan, let me pull up your police report. Mr. Sheridan, I have your correct address on Ruger Avenue in Janesville?
Correct.
Okay. You received a citation for exceeding the speed zones 16 and 19 now over the limit. Do you understand what exceeding the speed zones are?
Yes.
All right. Now, it's alleged that you're traveling 16 and 19 over the postal limit. Do you understand that as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the penalties are $124 in Florida merit points issued to your driver's license. So, now, as far as that's a $50 fine plus cost. That's how they get to the $124. You're the last, so I can expound a little bit more. The $50, how does $50 turn into $124? We have to pay the state and jail crime lab, and there's a lot of different buckets that get this. So that's how $50 turns into $124. The minimum penalty is $30 plus cost. The maximum penalty is $300 plus cost. Now, you understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. So you're at the intermediate level. There's 3 speeding levels in Wisconsin. 1 to 10 is 3 points. 11 to 19 is 4 points, and 20 plus is 6 points. You're at the intermediate of 11 to 19 over for 4 points. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. And I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. Instead of 11 to 19 over, I would reduce this to 1 to 10 over for 3 points instead of 4. So it saves you a
Okay.
point, essentially. So,
Okay.
the idea is the prosecutor, we reach this because a lot of times most pleas would be, they give 10-mile-an-hour as well, so we just try to be a little bit more efficient with the pleas. So, okay. Any procedural questions for me?
No.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. What would your plea be to speeding 1 to 10 over 3 points, same forfeiture 124? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
So what would the penalty be?
It'd be 3 points and $124. 1 to 10 over.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand what the guilty plea and was find you guilty?
Yeah.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. Accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything else you'd like to say before?
Just because I'm the last person.
Yeah.
So I'm an Uber driver, and I had a couple of very intoxicated guys in the back seat. So it was, well, anyway. But I'm thinking we need to somehow deputize us Uber drivers because we're taking a lot of problems off the road. So I don't know. Anyway,
You know,
it's-
that's something that's interesting. You could probably talk that with the state legislature about that. That's
Yeah.
where the changes will have to be made for that.
Right.
So.
I'm actually the last Democratic speaker we had in Wisconsin too, Mike. Yeah. So I was a speaker from 2010 and 11. So I may just take that up with them. I don't know.
Okay, I didn't
You know.
recognize your name then.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
my
I think I've
apologies.
met you before. It seems like
Uh-oh.
somewhere along.
I
the lines.
practiced out of Edgerton then, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Probably,
anyway.
I practiced with my dad, and my uncle was a circuit court judge in Rock County, so.
Okay. The names.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, I
name,
did. You know what? Now I do. I recognize your name, Mr. Sheridan. I do. I see. I think I remember your picture in the paper in the Gazette quite a few times. Then,
Yeah,
so.
a few times. Yeah. Sold a lot of newspapers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be a legislative solution. I mean, at least. So if you have those, if you know for your former colleagues that maybe not deputized, but I'm sure that there'd be
Right.
some rules changes that might not be a bad policy implementation. So.
Yeah, there might be
consider.
some things, as I think about just different things that could be helpful to not only the Uber driver, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another day, I guess.
It's something
Yeah.
to consider then. So, well, it's nice meeting you then. So, $124, do you need time I can give you 30 days to pay?
Yeah, just 30 days. I'll
Okay,
just-
yep, we'll give you the notice and you can just send in payment and
Okay.
make sure that you pay because otherwise I have to suspend your driver's license for a year and send it to collections.
Yeah, I don't want
and
you
kind of
tracking me
stuff.
down.
Yeah, exactly, so.
So, sounds good.
Now that were you the one, sorry, I hate to bring this up, but I remember this. Did you go to Illinois during when?
No,
during-
so that was the Senate. So
Okay.
that's right when I left, I was taken out in the wave. We lost all three branches.
That's right, in 2010.
And so, Tim Cullen was.
That's who I'm thinking of,
Yeah,
so.
and that's the Senate, but I was in the Assembly as
Okay.
Speaker. But yeah, it was, so I said, I always kid around, I said I left and the place fell apart. So but it's certainly
So if
changed a lot.
that red wave in 2010, so if you were down in Janesville at the time, so you probably, I don't know, I think your district got redistricted too, didn't it? Or there's some, yeah.
The district is pretty solidly Democratic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just the circumstances, Democrats got wiped out that year. Yeah, so anyway, yeah.
Well, Mr. Sheridan, thank you for
Nice.
coming in,
Yeah.
so.
Thanks
yeah,
for
we'll
all
take
your
care
hard
of it.
work.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll recall the case of Cale Drierson. Okay, Mr. Drierson, thank you for waiting. So again, I have 3 pages of forfeitures for now it will be over $7,000. So you mentioned before $500.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure what the balance is with the Department of Revenue, but I may be able to work out a deal with them where, I don't know, there'll be a fee, 15% fee.
Okay, there's a 15% fee that we have to submit for that, but our suggestion will be that we'll send it in, to the Department of Revenue, and just increase, basically say that we agree to $500 a month, and if we need to, we can finalize that. But I do have your correct address as listed before. Let me pull that up again. So, while I've got you though, I mean, are you a habitual traffic offender? You would have to be.
Honestly, I don't know what that means.
That means you've received 12 or more citations in a 5-year period.
Yes.
Yeah, if that's the case, you're revoked for 5 years. Okay.
Which, September 1st, if he can start paying.
Okay, 124 Harding Street. That's your correct address, right?
Yes.
So we'll start. Can you start paying on September 1st?
Yes, I can.
All right.
I'll send him the paperwork then.
Okay, we'll send the paperwork for that going forward. Since I have you here, how come you have so many citations? What's going on?
Got in a bad spot when had my temps and kind of just snowball effect from there.
Okay. Okay. Because I see your date of birth is 2003.
Yep.
Okay, so you just turned 20 then. All right. Are you able to work?
Yes, I just started a new job.
Okay. Where are you working at?
Madison Powder Coating here in town.
Madison Power Coating?
Yep.
What do you do for them?
It's kind of like a painting job, kind of like paint.
Okay. I mean, can you walk? Do you walk to work then, or I mean?
Yes, it
okay.
is 3 blocks from my house.
Okay. See, something happened. Your teenage rebel got into this bad, and then you just haven't been able to get out of it. Then, and now to the point where the police know you're suspended. So as soon as they see you in a car, they're going to pull you over again. So, or worse, if you're speeding, then they got they'll pull you over for speeding, and you get 2 citations. Then, yeah. Just let me. So, hang on, let me calculate something. You might not be habitually traffic offender because these are all suspensions. So I have you with this speeding citation, another one last year in December. And then one in 2021. Does that sound about right? So just basically 3 citations? 3 speeding citations?
Yeah.
351. So the habitual traffic offender, that's the 12 citations in 5 years. You would think that, but I think they have to be moving. Yeah. Let me check. Yep, 12 or more convictions of violations under 346. That's a moving violation. So the operating after suspensions you have are basically all operating after suspensions. So they're all under 343. Let me see if I have your copy of your driver's license. So I would imagine that did you ever have a valid license?
No, it got taken away when I had my temps.
Okay. I would imagine that you would want a driver's license.
Yes.
So I think the first step would be to just, now that you've got a job, pay $500 a month. That will still take you, over a year to do that. But the sooner you can pay these off, the sooner your suspension can lift, and see if you can get an actual driver's license.
Yeah, just start paying them off and get some kind of progress done.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of the plan. So, all right, I'm glad that you appeared today. I didn't expect you to appear tonight, so prepared for that. So, but yeah, just work on paying that. And we're going to contact the state collection services, and if there's any issue with that, we'll send a letter to you just informing you what's going on then. So, okay. If you don't pay, I'm going to summons you to come back. And one of the reasons I was looking tonight is that I can issue a warrant for your arrest too. Basically, what that means is I would probably just have a police officer. If you don't show up at a court date, I would just have a police officer come get you, bring you to court then. So I think that would be the easiest way to do that. And you're not going to charge contempt as well. So just you, and there's 2 others that I have accumulated quite a large fine. So I just want to make sure that I don't let that go, basically. So yeah, so make sure that you pay the $500, and if you're not, that will be that will be my stick, basically. Is that?
What's the best way to pay it? Most likely, like over online or what?
Best way to pay.
You can pay online, StoughtonCourt.com.
Okay.
There's a link to pay online. Otherwise, downstairs, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
And they'll take any form of payment from there.
So, all right. Just don't bounce a check either. So we've had that people do that as well. So, okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Anything for you, Mary? Okay, that'll take care of it for this evening. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you.
All right, let's go through before everybody else. Thank you, gentlemen.
Somebody left their glasses.
Yeah, you want to set it on the table?
Oh, those are mine. Thank you. I left them there when I was hanging the signs. Readers. Thank you very much. Before question. OWI Gomez.
Uh-huh.
They did a blood test. It was one of the blood warrant ones. So he was scheduled for tonight, but they did get the results back and issued a second citation, but they can't find him. So I don't know if he needs to be rescheduled or how he.
No, I'll find him guilty, serve him the second citation in case he ever challenges it.
They can't find him. Is the problem. He's moved.
Okay, if he's moved, then let's find him guilty. That way we have it.
Okay.
Do your best with serving the other. If you can't, just inform the court, and we'll just have him on the OWI then. How's that? Thank you. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, Michael Jose Miguel Aguilar, Maciel Aguilar. Bond forfeiture on both citations. Carissa Alt, default judgments. Susan Amend is a default judgment. Jason Andre is a default judgment.
This guy got a non-registration on the.
So Daniel Arnold had a non-registration citation.
He did do it on the 15th. He renewed it on the 15th.
Okay, then the court finds that he renewed it the next day.
Enter a plea. He just sent the registration.
He didn't enter a plea, but based upon the court's own motion, the court, because he updated the registration within 24 hours, the court moved to dismiss the citation on its own motion. Kendra Atkinson, default judgment on both citations. Chad Bartel, bond forfeiture. Jared Beatty is a default judgment. Savannah Beckwith is a default judgment. Jared Bell is a bond forfeiture on all three citations. John Bisbee is a bond forfeiture. Renee Briddick is a default judgment. Christopher Berner is a default judgment. Colin Abuser is a bond forfeiture. Brianna Bushi is a default judgment on both citations. Let's see, Brian Christensen, he already did that. Carol Collier is a bond forfeiture. Chelsea Craciolo is a default judgment. Tracy Crawford is a bond forfeiture. Vicki Curtis is a bond forfeiture. DeAndre Davis is a default judgment. Gregory Diebel is a bond forfeiture. Chase Donstead is a bond forfeiture. Shanae Enox is...
She left a voicemail saying she couldn't make it. She's the one that you had continued because she was working on getting her license.
Okay, we'll continue that for one more hearing.
Another month. Okay.
Yeah.
The number she left wasn't valid, so I
Okay.
couldn't reach her.
Owen Ernest is a default judgment. Brian Ernst is a bond forfeiture. Julie Fitzpatrick is a default judgment. Jeremiah Fry is a default judgment. Gregory Gagnon is a bond forfeiture. David Gomez Mateo is a
And that's the one.
it's a
That's the
default.
OWI,
What penalties?
and that's the thing.
You know what? Since it's OWI and he wasn't informed otherwise, I will do the minimum 6 months.
They did get blood results.
Oh.
If you want to see that,
You know what? I'm going to default him. So let's.
he just wasn't served that second citation.
Yeah.
That's all.
Because they're not going to find him.
But his driver's license is from Guatemala, and so I think he's
Back home.
it's not gonna be easy
What?
to find him. He,
Is it under Gomez or Mateo?
Gomez. Yes.
Okay. Find him guilty, and according to the police report,
It looks like he blew a 2.56 26th.
Hang on.
But then they also did the blood warrant. I didn't read all the details on that one. So I'm not sure how it came back. It said in the report that
Yeah, here's the problem, the PBT, I can't use that for intoxication, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find him, okay, for, David Gomez Mateo, I'm gonna find him, guilty of OWI based upon his non-appearance. However, there was a PBT which is not admissible for, PBT is only admissible when considering reasonable suspicion or probable cause motions. Because of that, I don't have a blood alcohol content, so I'm going to impose the minimum 6-month driver's license revocation, face amount of citation, and no IID. I will impose the $62.82 blood draw as a forfeiture.
they're categorizing it as a refusal, so wouldn't that?
Oh, if it's a refusal, yeah, thank you. I didn't realize that was a refusal since, yeah, they called the judge. I did see that. So because it's a refusal, I'll consider a refusal 1 year, and I will impose an IID on that, along with the $62.82 blood draw and $50 surcharge. Yeah, so that will take care of the driver's license and everything else. Okay, thank you. Alejandro Gomez is a default judgment. Yesenia Gomez is a bond forfeiture. Catherine Gower is a default judgment. Mary Gunderson is a default judgment. Dawn Hall is a default judgment. Nicole Hall is a bond forfeiture. Jim Hammis is a default judgment. Did you ever pay that reopening fee?
He did.
Okay. Francine Hathaway is a bond forfeiture. Michaela Hilger is a default judgment on both citations. Bobby Holland is a default judgment. Thomas Holm is a bond forfeiture. Joey Holverson is a bond forfeiture. Karina Horner is a default judgment. Lee Houston is a default judgment. Don Jacobson is a bond forfeiture. Nicholas Johnson is a bond forfeiture. Ashley Jolson is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Mark Kading is a bond forfeiture. Carl Kesey, is a default judgment. Lindsay Keiken is a bond forfeiture. Daylin Kelly.
She just said no contest.
Okay.
But
No contest, we'll do the no contest, except the accept the defendant's no contest plea, find the defendant guilty, and impose the face amount of citation. Aaron Kiso is a bond forfeiture. Nadine Cornell is a default judgment. Michael Kranz is a bond forfeiture. Adam Lawrence is a default judgment. Stephanie Leak is a default judgment. Edward Andres Lerma Escobar is a default judgment. Tina Lipsky is a default judgment. Kenneth Loberg is a bond forfeiture. Alejandro Antonio Lopez is a bond forfeiture. Kenneth Lundy is a default judgment. Jory Martin is a default judgment. Caitlin Ann Martinson is based upon the motion of the city. Court will dismiss that citation. Melody Martinson is a default judgment on both citations. Alexandria Maurer is a default judgment. Brianna May is a default judgment on both citations. Jason McGinnis is a default judgment. Dylan Mellon is a default judgment. Jason Myers, a bond forfeiture. Jessica Monsivias is a bond forfeiture, just on both citations. William Morey is a default judgment. Robert Mueller is Mueller. It's a bond forfeiture. Javier Nahera is a bond forfeiture. Aaron Nash is a default judgment. Alana Nats is a bond forfeiture. Alan Nelson is a bond forfeiture. William Nelson is a default judgment of both citations. Amandalyn Angela No Johnson is a bond forfeiture. Tyrone Anthony No Johnson is a bond forfeiture. Alaya Alexia Paulo Kruger is a default judgment. Lisa Palma is a bond forfeiture. Rosario Patrinos is a bond forfeiture. Michael Palman is a bond forfeiture. Sequoia Payton is a default judgment. Bo Penman is a default judgment on both citations. Anthony Peterson is a default judgment. Suzette Peterson is a bond forfeiture. Lincoln Post is a bond forfeiture. Carol Ann Pritchard is a bond forfeiture. Benjamin Rao is a default judgment. Noah Quinton Patrick Reich is a bond forfeiture. Ezra Robinson is a bond forfeiture. Yeri Rodriguez is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Forrest Raymer is a default judgment on both citations. Michelle Saunders is a bond forfeiture. Susan Schrader is a bond forfeiture. Jonathan Shank is a default judgment. Adnan Shahu is a bond forfeiture. Ian Sharon is a bond forfeiture. Sharissa Smith is a default judgment. Jonathan Soto Lopez is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Diana Spencer is a bond forfeiture. Robert Story is a default judgment on all three citations. Genevieve Stout is a bond forfeiture. Amanda Swenson is a default judgment. What's the restitution, do you know? You want me to go find it?
It's $29.83, but I know we have to be careful as far as checking
Okay.
tax now. So
Oh,
I did that.
yeah, who did that? Who brought that up?
The finance director.
Oh, yeah. You know what? There's,
$29.93.
that
And
was,
it looks like no tax from that breakdown. That's their listing in the narrative.
oh,
Page 2
okay.
of the narrative report.
Hang on.
But I believe there was more than one defendant,
Hang on.
so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, these are all 99s. I will make it $29.93, the restitution amount.
There were two defendants, so were they both?
Yes, the joint and several until one of them pays.
One is a daughter, and it's a mother and daughter, so.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying the daughter hasn't been found guilty, she's a minor, and I believe she's scheduled for September 6th.
Remind me, and I won't order the restitution
Okay.
for her. Okay. Casey Joe Swenson Adams is a default judgment. Jennifer Swihart is a default judgment. Joshua Teal is a bond forfeiture. Andrew Tenjum is a default judgment. Jessica Tolino is a default judgment on both citations. Harry Toby is a bond forfeiture. Marvin Turner is a default judgment. Kent Allen Van Buren is a default judgment. Dana Verstegen, is a bond forfeiture. Tricia Walker is a bond forfeiture. Sharon Weeks is a bond forfeiture. Corey Weir is a default judgment. Dylan Wickert is a default judgment on both citations. Lauren Wiederson is a default judgment. Anthony Youngin is a default judgment. Dun, dun, dun. And Leah Zimba is a default judgment.
One additional, he's scheduled for a trial. City attorney is just asking to have it rescheduled, and they both agree.
Approved.
Okay.
Stamp it.
All right.
I'm tired.
Court is over, I think.
Court is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And I.